All right. Hi. Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Scripting the Book. Today, we are going to be talking about Artemis Fowl, Book One, and the movie. I keep wanting to say movie one because I thought that there was going to be another one, but now I don't
They
know.
set it up for a sequel, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, will there be, though? So. Let's go ahead and do our intros and then we'll dive right in. We're going to start with our guest. Laura is back. We absolutely love having Laura come and join us. And then, of course, Ben and Natalie, my regular co hosts. So, Laura, go ahead and take it away. Introduce yourself.
I'm Laura. I mostly write horror. My announcement video live stream starts tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I will do my cover reveal and my release date announcement for my horror collection called Tiny Shivers. So I'm super excited. I have my proof copies. And yeah, so stick around tomorrow. Come back tomorrow, I guess. I don't know. That's me.
No, we want people attached to their computers for the next.
Yeah, just waiting with bated breath. Because I've seen some things and it's worth
the next 17 hours you are stuck to your computer.
Yes. All right, go ahead, Ben.
And I am Ben Pick. I do weekly questionable writing advice through Running Metaphors as Running to Write. I also have a couple of novels behind me, so you can check those out. Falling Through Expanding Cracks. It's a series I'm starting. And yeah, I'm on day 2 of my wife being on vacation, so I'm surprised I haven't devolved into anarchy.
Have you resorted to eating Taco Bell only yet?
No, well, I did have tacos last night, but I made them. I made them myself.
Okay.
I made them myself.
You made them.
So.
My dad, whenever my mom left, it was like, "Okay, kids, we're going to Taco Bell." Okay.
They actually did a study of like kids 10 to 12 and like 6 of them, and they did boys in this house 10 to 12, 6 boys 10 to 12. There we go. And just for a week with no adults, every food stocked or whatever, like, and it devolved into chaos. It was like a total mess, nothing but sugars and stuff for eating and everything. Then they did the same thing, but using girls, 6 girls, 10 to 12. They set up a chore chart, took turns cooking balanced meals for everybody. And but unlike the boys, 2 girls did go home because there was drama amongst the girls, and mostly from one girl. So it was it's funny.
Just when you think they have it together. There's
you're like, oh my God, so much better. Oh, nope, there it is.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than psychology type stuff, I am Natalie Locke. I'm a mom, and as well as I am a full-time employee. Yes, go ahead. Get some ice. Hold on.
Natalie's awesome.
Okay. This is my life. I could interrupt it. That's the oldest right now, the 12-year-old. But I'm also a genre hopping writer because those other 2 things didn't impede my sleep enough. So I thought, let's make another. And I have I actually did the math. I got 261 flash fictions underneath my belt and 2 manuscripts as well. But unlike the others, I am not published in any way, shape, or form. But if you want to follow along my writing struggles so you don't have to, I'll be your guinea pig. You can follow me on my website, natalielockebooks.com, where I have a monthly newsletter, a few samples of my work, as well as links to all the social media that I'm on. Which I say I'm on, but I haven't touched them in a little bit, and I kind of need to.
I kind of feel that sometimes too when it comes to social media. It's like I have them.
There's like 6 or 7 of them that I list that I have, but I'm not active.
There's so
or there's duplications. Like I post on IG, and it's like, you want to post this on Facebook? I'm like, yep, save me time. Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. and you're here on my channel. I'm Nia, the Vixen of Fiction, and I host this show with my lovely friends. I also do live streams during the week on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. I will be returning to Twitch in April, so if you want to come hang out with me there, I'll be there noon Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and sometimes late Sunday night, so you can come hang out and see what I'm reading, see what I'm writing. Sometimes I'll be doing a watch party because, I love watching adaptations. It's my thing. All right, let's say hi to some folks who have come to hang out with us while we chat about Artemis Fowl. Hello, hello to Richard, Eva, Regina. You guys are awesome. There's quite a bit cool gamers here also. Hello, hello. They have already been chatting up a storm. Hello, Jordan. How are you? Good to see you. Okay, did make sure I got everybody. And yeah, feel free, chat away in the chat. We like it when you guys have a good time. And of course, my co-host, if you see a comment that you want popped up, just give me the timestamp. Just say who they are and the timestamp on them, so I can grab those and pop them up for you. So chat away in the chat. If you have questions, ask us, because I know some people haven't seen it. They're just curious. So we are going to start with the book. So we always do this. Our dislike, neutral, like, or love on the book. Is anybody a dislike on the book? Is anybody a neutral on the book? Is anybody a like on the book? I'm a neutral like. So I feel like I liked it more than I was neutral about it. If I were, if I were a middle grader, I'd probably want more. Anybody a love on the books? Laura's a love. Woohoo. Nice. Excellent.
I
So
grew up on them.
yeah, that like I said if I were a middle grader, I could see myself wanting to continue on with this. So let's go ahead and get into it. Other than growing up on it, Laura, why are you a love on Artemis Fowl?
Well, I have this weird, quirky personality thing where villains are usually my favorite character. So, this just so happens to have a villain as the main character. And I was like, heck yes! Need more of this! Butler was amazing. Like, a bodyguard that's just decked out to the nines with all of these weapons. Like, he is the definition of the meme. Like, empty your pockets and it's just guns and knives and maces and, like, bows and arrows. Like, he just has everything. He's so flippin' cool and so mysterious. Like, you don't even know his first name in the first book. Like, he's just so cool. He was awesome. And the whole idea of, like, magic is real, but so the whole concept was Artemis is a criminal mastermind. He's 12. And so, sure, he knows about the real world, but he's still young enough to maybe believe in magic. And so he has that sweet spot of, if there is magic, I'm going to exploit it to the fullest. So it was perfect of just, like, childhood open-mindedness mixed with, I'm going to run a criminal empire, and how dare you take us down from a billionaire status to a millionaire status? I will fix this. Like, yes. And just the whole relationship with his mother, I thought was so sad and so touching. And it's just like, oh, I feel for you, dude. Dementia's no joke. And just, like, I don't know. I loved it so much. And there was, like, action going on with the troll sequence and the world building with, like, the cursing frogs and the tunnels. Like, just randomness. A centaur who is amazing at all the tech stuff and wears a tinfoil hat on top of that so nobody can read his mind. Like, it just has all the eccentricities and all these characters. It's like a dwarf who can tunnel, but, like, just the way that Colfer described him with the tombstone teeth, I was like, yes, I love it so much. Just, it was so evocative. I love those books so much.
Oh, awesome. And so, Ben, you were a like on it, a solid like.
I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really good. And this was actually the first book that we've done here that I got on audiobook. They just had it available in the library, so I was able to listen to it, and that added so much personality to it. And basically everything that you said, I want to circle back to when we get to, say, the movie and the differences,
Yes, I
because
was
there were a
already
lot of
like,
things that you mentioned
I was
that
already like biting my tongue, like, why? I will get to it.
But as for the book itself, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. Like you said, it's interesting to have both a childhood Sherlock Holmes and, I mean, his entire goal is to kidnap a leprechaun who is essentially a police officer for the Fae and ransom them. Like, that is his plan. So we want him to succeed, but him succeeding is also kind of a bad thing. So it's this interesting little twist.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Natalie, you were kind of like with me. You liked it, but kind of a neutral like. Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I didn't finish the book in the time frame here. I started it like just last week. Like when I said I'm starting the book, I was starting the book.
You meant
but
so were you reading or audio? You said
I was reading. I was waiting for the audiobook. I had put it on hold like a month ago, and it still hadn't come. And I didn't have an Audible credit. I ended up using it on something else, and I didn't want to use an Audible credit because I was like, I don't know if it's going to be good or not. What?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Really
what?
Darn it.
Are you kidding me?
Because I do better with audiobooks, honestly. Like, I'm able to get things done. With reading, the whole sitting down, this is the only thing I can do, kind of flex. But I will say what I read up to the point, I got to the point of where, since we already said it a little bit, Artemis was negotiating. I got to that point. So it was close to 50%-ish and everything. And there was times that it made me giggle and chuckle and everything, but it just didn't captivate me at the end. Like, I liked his character. I liked the knowledge. And like you said, like, I thought Sherlock Holmes, that, like when they pick apart going, well, if it was this, you would have said this. And I'm like, oh, nice. Like, focus on what was not said type thing. So I did like that part, but just it didn't pull me in as quickly and stuff. And so it was actually more of a chore with some chuckles while I was reading. And then maybe just my schedule and stuff, because work was really crazy for like the last 2 weeks. So like I didn't do much of anything when I got off of work for a bit.
Ben liked the book. He liked it. We haven't got to the movie yet.
Give it time.
So I was a neutral like, and this is one where I'm like, unfortunately, I saw the movie first back when Artemis Fowl first hit Disney Plus. So I already had an idea. And then, so as I started reading, I was like, and I can't say till we get to it, but there was a whole person that I'm like, where'd this person come from? We'll talk about who that person. Yeah. We'll talk about who that person is, who's so important in the book. But I did really enjoy the dynamic with the mom. That was so sad. Hint, hint on who's missing.
It kind of gave me Coraline vibes, like in the darkness. Because as I'm reading it, I'm like, wait, isn't this a Disney film? How are they going to put this in? Because it kind of made me think of that Coraline. Like, really dark and it like...
Yeah, so I'm a neutral to like, and I feel like maybe I would have been more of a like if I hadn't seen the movie first, so I had those impressions already in my head. I liked the characters, I liked the butler, and I liked, like Laura was saying, I liked the idea that magic and fae are real, but they're completely separated from our world. And so Artemis is this criminal mastermind kid who kind of is like going to figure it out. And if it is real, he's going to exploit it to the fullest to get what he wants. He wants his family to be at the top. Millions isn't enough, you know.
Crime family, heck yeah.
Yeah, totally into the whole crime family thing. And I feel like I believed Artemis Fowl more as this criminal mastermind kid in the book.
Like he's described as pale, like vampiric, like the computer screens have leached all the health from his skin. It's like,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. He's like this. Yeah, he's this creepy, not the kid you want kind of kid.
Speaks like an adult to adults.
Like if Damon wasn't the Antichrist type situation, that was the vibe I was thinking.
Yeah, so I could totally. I know the books because I think my brother read it, and then I think my two older kids have read these. So I was aware of them, but I had never read them myself. But I thought it was okay. Those parts I liked. Just the idea of Fae and magic. I don't know that I was as captivated. And I might be because I'm an adult now who likes more adult fantasy. So like I could just see and feel the appeal that it would have to middle graders. So even though I feel like it's probably a neutral for adult Nia, I think kid Nia would have really liked it. You know, but it's fine. I no problems with it. So I'm a neutral to like on it. It was pretty good.
It left its mark on me with the whole idea of like you can ride magma flares from the center of the earth to the surface. Like in these, I was like, oh my gosh, like technology that's like this, that's so flipping cool. Like, yes, just the whole like, sure they're living underground, but like they utilize it, and it's actually not just set dressing, but it has informed how their technology works and stuff. And like, it was really cool for me.
Yeah, the world building was definitely thought through.
Oh
yeah, definitely. And I found the idea of the butlers very interesting. I don't know that I loved it. And that might have been one of the things that if I was a kid, I wouldn't think about. But I'm like, a whole family, that's their whole purpose is to be servants. That kind of.
They talked about other families.
Yes.
And everything. Because I know I was like,
but you are a butler. And, you know, like, it's not just them, but
you're assigned a fowl.
But yeah,
you're not just assigned a fowl. If there's not a fowl, then you go to some other prestigious family, like princes and stuff like that, which I thought was interesting. Because I was thinking, what? They just like time up the pregnancies or something? What's going on?
Yeah, right.
And so it was kind of
now. We need one.
It made sense. Like they at least caught the plot hole for me and stuff.
Or they become mercenaries, I thought was the other one.
Yeah. So I was like, meh on that. But I did like the butler, like Laura was saying, that he's just this total bad dude, just like,
so
you know. So it's like the concept of it I was like meh on, but him I was like
as a character, like quiet but yet like smart. You know, he knows stuff, but he's also like kind of, I don't want to say knows his place, but like he's like he'll step in.
But yeah, that's kind of what it is. I think that's what bugs me. It's like, knows his place, kind of like, I don't. Yeah,
but he's not afraid to go against Artemis. If he thinks that there's something wrong, he will say it. And isn't that kind of like a UK trope where they just have somebody who, you know, I was a butler, my father was a butler, his father was a butler.
That is. Yep.
So.
Yep.
I mean,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially in like a kid's story, I'm definitely very forgiving about something like that. But I can see how that could, you know, rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, younger Nia probably wouldn't even be. I would have been like, yeah, cool. And older Nia's like, is that cool?
And also let's think of the time period. Like kids now, like my daughter reading this now would probably be like, wait a second, this doesn't check out. But reading it in the 90s, we weren't as
90s,
socially
early
aware.
2000s, when my brother and then my oldest would have been reading it before the 2010s. So totally get it. So what about the arc of this the book one? How did we feel about how it started, what Artemis went through to get what he wanted, and how it ended?
I think it started well, only because I'll start with the start because I didn't get past the middle. But it started well because I will say that little exchange between this fairy hunched in the alley and everything, and this whole switcheroo, and like, I need the book, and I'm just like, what is this book? Like, it helped me get enough questions to go, what is going on here? Like, I did like the quick dive into it. And so I thought, and it also it disclosed how thorough and intelligent Artemis is, and how he thinks about things, and how much he notices. So I thought it started very well. I think maybe the thing that got me possibly is the jumping between POVs. Is probably what got me, because it was like learning new characters again, and I don't know, and I can't remember, was this first person at all?
No, it's like told.
It's like a cute
past.
Yeah. Okay. And it's like, and based off the movie, if the movie presentation of that is why it makes sense, but first person probably would have pulled me in a little bit more. And I think I'll still finish it. I think it's more of my life / I'm older than the intended audience, so I get tripped up on certain things, kind of like you were talking about, Nia. It's where younger us would have been totally fine, but older us kind of catch things. But I will say, still, the characters were good. Like Commander Root, I gave him like a thick accent, like talking out of the side of his mouth with the
cigar,
the ash never dropping from the cigar and stuff, like a really deep, hearty voice. Like I had the characters in my head for sure.
That's not very far from what it was in the audiobook version.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The audiobook narrator, by the way, was really good.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what's going to make me finish it, is that once the audiobook frees up, then I'm going to jump in.
Hey there.
Hi, very dear. Okay, so I think the beginning was good. Continue.
All right. So, and who wants to take the next? Continuing on from there.
I was just surprised how dark it got at the. I mean, we start off with an alcoholic fairy, and Artemis taking advantage of that fact to show his intelligence, his cunning, his determination, and all that kind of derives from. I mean, I guess it's a fairy, so it's not human, but at the same time, like, it was very human-like, and it would be very easy to. I mean, at first they're mistaken for an old woman, I think, and so it's like you said, the intro creates a lot of mystery around us, and I do really like where it started, and I liked where it ended too. I thought that Artemis naturally grew by interacting with people his own age. Like, he thought at the start, he thinks he's so superior to everyone, especially people his own age, but he finds things to respect in others, like Butler, his physical prowess, he relies on Butler, but he still kind of sees himself as above him. And through this entire experience, he finds out that no, people are more than useful. They're not just tools to get a job done. And by the end of it, I don't want to say too much, but it looks like he's going to be around a lot more of his peers, and so that's an interesting way of carrying on the series.
Yeah, and what did you think, Laura? Especially since you read further in the series, how did you think that the arc went for this book one, and where it landed at the end?
It's been a little while since I read the book. I'm trying to remember exactly how it ends. I think it ends with the way the movie and like that. No. Part of the snippet of the movie was so bad. So it starts out with Artemis and Holly as complete enemies. Like, you are my kidnapper, and I am holding you for ransom, and you are locked in this cell without magic, and you are completely under my control under fairy rules. And so by the end, they are reluctant allies.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the subsequent books, you see them being forced to be allies over and over again, and slowly learning to trust each other and like be a little bit less of an evil piece of work of a kid. But like, it was good. The whole series gets a little whacked, but like I still haven't read the last book. But like, there's so much in there. Like, I love the second book, but yeah, I don't know. I just love how Artemis doesn't do a 180 in the first book.
Yep.
He's there's still an arc to go through.
He still has to grow and change. Like,
he's still the son of a crime boss and has to take over.
Yes, that. Also, we have Tiffany came in to say hello. Hello, Tiffany. Good to see you. We just talked about the book, and we're gonna hop on in and give our dislike, neutral, like, or love on the movie. So, who is a solid dislike on the movie? Solid dislike on the movie.
Can we go lower than that?
I was like, we do go straight from dislike to neutral, but I don't want to say hate because you know if you hate it though. But we're solidly dislike. Okay, so who is a neutral? And I'm a neutral to dislike. And like I said, I watched the movie when it first came out and felt neutral on it. I was like, okay. There were things that and I'm glad that I watched the first cut so I can say the things that I did like. So we'll go into that before we go into the things that we don't like.
I watched it when it came out, logged those memories away, and reopened the trauma again last night by watching it again.
So needless to say, there's no solid likes or loves on this. All right. So the best they're going to get is that dislike to neutral from me and Natalie. All right. So I will start once if you just go in watching the movie, it's okay. Like when I saw it popped up on Disney Plus, I was like, oh, I saw the cast and I was like, oh, I like this person. Oh, Judi Dench is in it. Okay. Oh, and I know this guy and I know that guy. Let me give this a chance. Went ahead and watched it and I was like, it's okay. The things that stood out that I really liked the look of, I liked the centaur before I read the book. I thought that the character looked good. I thought that our leprechaun, I liked her. Like the acting, I didn't really have a problem with any of the acting. And the part where I'm trying to think of the things that I liked and get them out really quick. I liked in the movie the way that he opened his jaw and I like the idea of the troll being, or was he a troll or a dwarf? I think it's a dwarf. He's a giant. He's a giant dwarf. So he's
the dwarf is Giganticus in the movie.
Yeah, dwarf is
dwarf.
Giganticus. So I thought that all looked good, and I was like, oh, okay, it was amusing. And then I think I had the same thought from the book is that, oh, I like the idea of there's a separate fantasy world that this kid wants to figure out. And then we'll get into the things I didn't like about it. But there were some, you know what I mean? If you look at the movie alone then you can pick out things that, okay, I liked it. The story did flow. I liked Butler before I really knew once you know the Butler in the book, it's like, why didn't they do some of the things?
The only weapon Butler has in the movie, he's seen carrying a stick.
Why?
And he
what did they do? Okay, we're not
comparing a statue.
I know we're not comparing yet, but Butler, if you don't read the book, Butler is fine. Like the actor does a good job. I liked before read the book. I like that he's kind of quiet. He's a pretty bad dude, but he's, to me in the movie, he's more of a teddy bear, kind of like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
like a tough teddy bear, because it was like, I'm gonna
Like, he's a
cry.
bear,
You know,
but
like
he's also
him
a teddy
crying
bear.
was supposed to be rare, but at the same time, they made it seem like a lot was gonna make him cry. Like, I don't know,
A little bit, yeah. Which
like a comedic
before,
relief cry almost.
yeah. So there were some parts like where he says, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cute. And another one, so we are on the movie spoilers. So there's a part where he dies, and then he's like, did I cry? And Artemis is like, a little, because he cried, you know? And he's like, oh gosh, did I cry when I died? So there were parts that were humorous. I thought that
It
most
is
of the
humorous,
actors,
but also through a filter, it's almost toxic masculinity. This whole like anything but crying.
yeah,
I don't care that I died. The fact that I cried when I died or stuff, like I'm like,
not like, holy crap, I was just dead. You know, if this had gone another way, I'd still be dead.
But
You
I
know?
will say, actually, from a kid's point of view, seeing it through that filter is not as extreme. Like it's you can easily push that filter aside and still see the character is good and such.
And I think I liked Judi Dench, her voice, the way that she just kind of growled the whole time. You know, I'm like, I could picture that. So that tracked when I read the book. I was listening to the audiobook narrator, and I almost was hearing Judi Dench's voice in his voice. So there were some things that weren't terrible. So, because we're going to talk about some of the other things. So I just want anyone who wants to go in, if you're letting your kid watch this and your kid hasn't read the books, they're not going to notice the things that we notice. Probably if they have read the books and they're big fans of the books, they're going to notice just like we do. Just so know that going in, if you're like, my kid's not a reader, he's not going to read this book, but they're probably going to enjoy the movie just fine. It's going to be another on just the list.
CGI was okay.
Yeah, CGI was fine. Yeah. So who wants to start with the with where it went wrong?
No, without talk about what you don't like without comparing, because we still need to make a comparison.
We are going to compare.
Okay.
Or is it all there? Is it all the comparison?
No, I can do this.
Okay, go ahead then.
The very first moments, we know Artemis is kind of a bad guy, and so the very first moments of the movie try to make him relatable, and they show him surfing and riding a hoverboard through the woods. Like, and I actually looked it up later, and apparently Ireland has good surfing, but like that's not something that makes a person likable, relatable, whatever. And then to show that he's intelligent, he goes to see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is going on and on about a chair, and then he's like, oh, well, it's a fake. And that's like the only time where he shows his intelligence. Every other time where he's supposedly smart, it's something that his dad told him. It's something that it's who he is and the legacy that's associated with him, not necessarily him actually being intelligent. Yeah. Like everything that that's a comparison. So I'll save that one. But
I will say intelligence is a growing thing. So as a child, he's not going to intrinsically know these things. He's got to learn it from somewhere. It just, I will say, I agree with you. The flashbacks to the father saying the thing that now he's about to apply. It's like, it's almost a Slumdog Millionaire instance of like,
and that movie was good.
Yeah.
Yes, that was done well.
That was good.
So
I'm going to say, while Ben's on the topic of Artemis, I just didn't buy him. Once I read the book, I don't want to compare, but even without reading the book, I think I didn't buy him as a criminal mastermind. I think even before, I didn't buy him as a criminal mastermind.
I didn't
Like
really
his
get
last
it.
line in the movie is "I'm a criminal mastermind." It's like,
And I'm like, are you though?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there
Well,
was
even with, I would say that's not a comparison. I did feel that before when I thought that the movie was neutral. I was like, really, dude? I'm
Yeah.
not buying it.
he
his
tranked a
goals
fairy
were
and set them
family.
free.
Yeah, his goal was family and stuff in the movie to save his dad. That's not criminal mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's motive.
That's
going on-
that's a good motive that you can get behind.
Building off of that, there are so many times where we are told something, and that something proves out to be entirely wrong based on their actions. But it's also the movie keeps telling us these things rather than showing us, and it just hammers in the same ideas over and over again. And like, there's this is going to sound very nitpicky, but there's a moment where like it shows the boat or whatever that the father's on, and it's like, oh, this, that, and the other, but we can see the actual boat, and they're like, oh, it's abandoned. And then they go to say, well, they're sending out a wreckage crew, after for the boat. But I'm like, that conflicts with what's on TV. So I think like they filmed it first, and then they added the the CGI whatever later, and so there's frequently a mismatch between what's being said and what's going on, and there's just a lot of those little moments kind of added up for me.
So in the movie, Artemis says that he can't read Gnomish because even if he translates the language, it's encrypted. And then he knows Holly's name because he read it off of her helmet. It's like, in the movie version, you can't read it.
Or when Butler's on the phone and he's like having a normal conversation, and then Artemis is able to hear him through two different panes of glass and like a hallway between the two, he comments on that phone conversation.
It's like
There are just so many weird choices. And to be fair, I did read or listen to the book first and then watch the movie, so I have it was the book was raised up really high, and then there's just this movie that's there, and yeah.
Do we have any more thoughts where we can separate the movie from the book, or do you guys want to get into? All right, let's go ahead and get into. Oh boy. So that was. Oh, did I not even put up the thing? We did thoughts on the movie. So let's do thoughts on world building, character, and execution in the book, from book to movie. So
I think we kind of touched on that. We were talking about the CGI technology, like going out of the magna, not magna.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, but they did that wrong.
Yes. So now we're comparing it book to movie. What did you think?
Let's just jump into it, okay? Like,
yeah.
All right.
In the movie, you are put in this egg-shaped metal vessel that will shoot up the magma thing. And it's like, okay, that'll get you to the surface. In the books, it's even more claustrophobic. Like, you can't fit more than a fairy in there, so it's way more tight, and there's wires everywhere because they've lost funding. It's like held together by duct tapes and spit. And there are stabilizer wings that you have to do, and you have to pilot it to get out. And you can do like the drops and then extend the wings to show how much of a risk taker you are. So it shows more personality and character by how close you get to the magma before deploying it. And it just shows Holly's like, I can do this. And I'm just awesome. And like, she's so competent and so cool, even with this duct tape vessel. She can do it. And it's so cool. And I loved it to bits. And now it's just like, I'm in a vessel, shoot me in the air. Like,
yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally missed that almost like, is this thing gonna fall apart on her? I didn't feel that at all with it. Just felt like, okay, she's going.
Yeah, like the technology in the movie was everything is well funded. We have weapons that can change form. Like, it's not like Holly is stuck with an old model of wings and that are janky. And so it's like the whole world building of like, this is a lived-in world where they have political issues and funding has been taken away from Foley's department.
Yeah, everything looks really good. Like
Yeah.
the phase, like whole computer security system place looked really good, which if you hadn't read the book, you're like, great. Okay.
Where was Foley's tinfoil hat?
I loved his hat.
That.
Like,
Okay.
show him as eccentric a
Right,
little bit more and
yes.
stuff. And then and then
Yes.
character wise, so Captain Holly and Commander Root, their banter back and forth in sarcasm. I was like, but in the movie, she was just like, yes, Commander. Yes, Commander. Anything you need, Commander. And I'm like,
And why wasn't she doing a job? She was literally just following Root around. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to be your replacement someday. I will shadow you.
yeah, I was like, come on, and everything.
Mhm.
I
Go do
wanted
your
that.
beat cop thing for a bit.
Yeah, and at least in the book, we got other characters. Like, one of the parts that I had to reread over and over just because of how I got distracted and drop off is when, in the book, Butler had the helmet on and was taking out like the 6 person
The invisible
retrieval.
fairies.
Just
Yes.
like being surrounded and having their guns drawn on them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought that was but can we talk about this? So in the movie, I will say this change. I'm glad they made Commander Root a female. I'm glad they were they showed diversity. Like, certain things I was fine with. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
You could still have like a sassy commander that's like no BS without being male and stuff. And everything. And I will forever remember she's going to turn 803 in May.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me was that and I think they did this because they didn't want any backlash for deeming racist, but Butler was not Butler. It was, don't call him Butler. His name's Dom.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And I have that feeling it's because they chose a black man.
Family of servants, and then
and since they chose
felt
them,
they had to make that choice. And
I understand why. I understand why, but at the same time, it's
kind of takes away a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you haven't read the book, then you don't know. See, that's the thing. It's like
they're catering to people who wouldn't have read the book and would have totally accepted him being called Butler.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. And I'm fine with saying, don't say the Butler. Butler just has to be the last name. Like, I'm fine saying that. But going, no, don't say it at all. I'm like,
but if it's also his name, then just go ahead and let that be. You don't. Yeah.
So that was one change where I was like, I see where you're going. I appreciate it. And I know your heart's in the right place. But at the same time, and then this is my biggest gripe from what I read. Where the hell is Mom?
That is my biggest gripe.
Mom died before the movie started.
That is my biggest gripe.
Not only that, but that is like the one thing that I would say makes Artemis a genius in the book, is that the mother's pivotal to how he figured out the key ingredient or whatever to winning in the end, and she wasn't even there.
I don't understand this. Like, this one, I don't get it. I don't understand why. I don't understand this change.
I have a lot of questions then, because I think they tried to combine multiple books together into this movie, and they sort of fumbled over everything.
Yeah, I would have liked that. I would have liked to have that motivation. I would have liked to have had that dynamic. This I didn't know I was missing until I read the book, and I was like, oh, he's got. I'm literally like, oh, he has a mom.
Nope, he test tube, artificial insemination just appeared.
Yep, I'm like, where was she at the whole movie? And I feel like,
because then that justifies why they have Juliet.
I was looking for her, like, maybe because it was when I first watched it, it was so neutral to me that I'm like, maybe there was a scene and I missed it.
No,
so I literally
in the psychology thing.
Standing back, I'm like, no, she's really not in it. There's like no mom here. I'm like,
the psychologist mentions that his mother passed away.
Yeah, and I'm like, that doesn't. So there's like not even a flashback, nothing. I'm just like, it's so strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but those are my gripes and everything, and like you said, Nia, at the end of the day, like, the movie by itself, okay, fine, it's for kids. I won't get hung up, but Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they'd have made Butler tougher. I would have liked to see Butler pull those weapons out from all over the place, just like,
Be by himself instead of being directed by Artemis. Even though I know we're trying to show Artemis as the mastermind and stuff, but in the
With
movie
nobody
he
buying
wasn't. He wasn't a mastermind. He didn't. He was just a kid trying to save his dad. Really, in the movie.
So the wedding scene was terrible. I know it only lasted for like 2 minutes, but it was terrible. And not only that, but it's self-contradictory because there's a troll that invades some wedding that's in Italy. None of the characters matter. It's just a way to introduce plot. But at the same time, the time freeze works differently there than it does with Artemis when they do it around his house.
Yeah.
Like they didn't stick to the physics. Because I was expecting Artemis and Butler to be not moving. And then they're moving in the time freeze. And I'm like,
yep.
Why?
They said it was an exterior time freeze this time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that.
That's why the fisherman was frozen.
Ah, that makes more sense.
I think it was supposed to keep the media away.
All right. Fair enough. That explains it. I'll give it to you.
Exterior, interior. But then, okay. And then an interior, how would that work? Interior freeze, because what if some
What's the
guy
limit of the exterior?
Yeah, because someone
The entire
walking
planet's
around near the exterior, like they're jumping between bars and they're walking around, they look around the corner going, huh, that's interesting. What's to stop that?
Yeah.
I pick apart movies. I watched Moonfall with the husband and we tore it apart the whole time. It was Mystery Science Theater 3000 because we were like, the physics doesn't make sense. And then I'm arguing with him. He argued one point and I'm like, no, in space, when you have two, I was arguing. It was reaction.
Also,
yeah.
Okay. This movie came out in 2020. This was basically the exact same scene as that X-Men movie from 7 years ago. Where they have Quicksilver running around, and then there was another.
Oh yeah, and everything's
MCU
frozen.
did the exact same thing too. Yeah, that was the exact same thing here.
So also, my brain just died.
I got a point to say. So if we're talking about the freeze,
sorry, we did this to you, Laura.
Speaking the brain freeze that Laura's going through, so the cleanup crew was quick, fast, in a hurry, scanning people's eyes to wipe their memory. Why were they fast and not Captain Holly? Huh? Or Captain Short.
Yeah.
Why is Holly not speedy fast, but the cleanup crew is?
Also, Commander Root explicitly said, she'll, full invisibility on this mission. She's visible the whole mission! I was like, did they
forget what they said?
Not only
privy to fairy sight now?
Not only that, but Root tells Short to only do recon, and then the very next scene, there's no difference in what's happening. But the very next scene, she says, "You gotta do containment." Like she doesn't know that the troll is attacking. She doesn't know any new information, but her mission just instantly changes.
And therefore, there's no repercussion of her being put in trouble.
And that was a really good thing in the book.
Her a flight risk and stuff
because her dad stole a MacGuffin.
Just by relationship alone, nothing in her personality is showing that. Because she's yes commander person constantly.
Yeah. And then
Artemis is his
randomly the troll is taken care of, and they're like, "Okay, come back to base," and she's like, I'm gonna head over at Artemis Fowl's house to clear my dad's name. There was no build up to this. There was no internal conflict of what are.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. Show me that when she's following around the commander earlier on.
There was a reason.
Make her bite her lip when a bad guy or something is going. You can't trust her, and she's like, stop holding it over my head.
In the book, she's low on magic and has to do the acorn ritual to get her magic back. Which is why she's low on magic and is taken hostage.
Yes, makes so much sense.
And instead, they make an acorn-shaped MacGuffin.
Oh yeah, she didn't even break out of her own cell. That was
No,
really
he
cool in the
lets her
book.
free. He
The
takes
clothes-
his glasses down so she could mesmerize him if she wanted to. But
I
But
just
he
couldn't buy
trusts
that,
her.
that whole
Yeah.
thing. I didn't buy any, like, that whole thing. I just wasn't buying it. Like, I'm like, it just didn't feel like it made sense to me, their whole conversation. I don't know. I just feel like something in the conversation was missing, because he's like, can I trust you? And then she's the one who discloses something first. And I'm like, something about the whole thing, it just
Yeah.
wasn't meshing.
I will
I'm like,
say they
"Shut
kept with the
up."
comedic relief, and I did laugh out loud when she was let out, punches him, and then goes, "Now you can trust me."
Now you can trust me.
And I was like, you know what? I support that. Like, I would want some
Yeah,
retribution
you
to the person
captured
who
me.
just kidnapped me.
Yeah.
And
you
then is
just
asking
kidnapped
for my
me.
help.
Exactly.
like in the book, Holly is literally bashing her bed against the concrete
Yes.
to get a little dirt to put the acorn in. Like, she is fighting back in every way possible that she can, despite all the fairy rule implications of, like, you can't disobey or you lose your magic completely. Like, it was really cool. She was such a
Yep.
stronger character. She had personality.
You can say that about everybody in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, because I will say, so Disney in 2007 said they were no longer going to have smoking depicted in their movies whatsoever. I understand, but it made me reflect, because it was brought up because of Cruella with Emma Stone. Cruella smokes. Like, it's kind of a big, strong character thing. It's how she talks with the thing within the air, and the smoke is just
Yeah.
wavering, and like,
I'm wondering why that choice was made. Because I too, I get that also. And I think the way that they did their voices, kind of like I said, when I was reading the book, I was hearing or listening to the audio narrator, I could still picture Judi Dench, her doing it, because she did it well. But who makes the decision that, who makes that decision? Is it the actor saying, yeah, I agree, we're not gonna do that? Or I don't know.
I will say, with the voice though, I felt, and don't
She
come at me.
sounded like a heavy smoker.
Oh yeah. No. She
Yeah,
made me
she
think. She made me think of the lead person in Beetlejuice when they go to the death, and the lady's there and she's smoking. She's got a hole in her shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah,
made me
yeah.
think of her. But she, by having that voice, it's very hard to have inflection and stuff, and like be shocked and stuff. So I kind of felt that
You were missing some of that.
she was kind of flat. I mean, she had this deep tone, and I do it when I'm doing the public domain narrations. I pick a voice for a character, and then I realize I can't really give much inflection. Otherwise, I'm changing their tone because it's not my voice. I'm not used to it.
You'll see that the audio narrator does that too. I think for me, where she picked it up, it's because you could see, like, she would make faces and the shifty eye thing, the things that she would do with her looks, like, I think that kind of helped with give how she's actually
Dimension.
thinking or feeling, or because it is hard to do that voice for long periods of time, and she's doing it the whole time. So I think what is the actor's name who was playing the dwarf? He's like,
Josh Gad.
He's like, yeah, Josh. He's like, we sound like a couple of hippos grunting at each other. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, you do. So that was funny. Like, the movie had moments.
Oh yeah, I laughed. It kept the spirit of comedy, but you can't just use comedy as your crutch.
The story needs to be cohesive, and the story kind of was like just so disjointed.
The book ending rubbed me the wrong. So in the movie, it's Mulch Diggum's captured by like MI6, and he's in a holding cell in the ocean, and he's giving this whole speech, which is the movie, and then we come back to him, and it's like in the Mulch is so like, I'm gonna take care of myself in the book, and does an amazing, it imprinted on my brain when he faked his death. I was like, this is genius. Like, he's like tunneling out of the house, and he has the contact or whatever that sends his vitals back to headquarters, and he's like, I can feel vibrations. There's a rabbit warden nearby, so he tunnels and puts it on a dying rabbit. So when the rabbit dies, they think he died. And so it's like, it blew my mind.
And the best part about that is that even with all that, like, Root still suspects that he got away. Like, that is just showing how much incredible character development happened in the books that just isn't there in the movie.
And now he's a free con man to go do whatever the heck he wants. He's not working for Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, that's that whole part where there, because he does this whole long monologue at the end. It just takes away, which you don't know until you read the book. It just takes away so much of the nefariousness of the
because he says his family's protecting us, protecting. I'm like, that's not a criminal mastermind.
Yeah, that's not a criminal. Like they're going to go rescue him. I think it's cool that they have this idea that we're going to go get our guy and how they're. But if that's not how it's supposed to be, it's just like, let them be bad. Let them be bad.
They
let
took
the
the premise.
Just let them be bad.
They took the world and then wrote their own fan fiction to it.
Yeah,
really.
Like we can't let
for the
Artemis
screenplay.
can't be.
Artemis would never
He's got to
serve.
be the hero. He can't be too bad. I'm like, no, let him be bad. He's supposed to be bad.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
like,
think
this is
they were
why I
afraid
wasn't buying
kids
him.
would be
That's
bad.
why I wasn't buying him as a mastermind. Wasn't buying it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked it up. The whole gigantic thing, it definitely wasn't in the book. It was only in the movie.
Mm-mm.
Which
For like an
It's
ongoing
a
gag
normal-sized
of
dwarf, not a human-sized dwarf.
Yeah.
so
I
it's
guess
dumb.
we'll do before we go into any more thoughts on Artemis Fowl, the book or the movie
Yes.
before we go into our best and worst changes. Go
Okay.
ahead.
The opening of the book is Artemis going to the ferry and getting the book and taking pictures of all of the pages so he could translate the language and figure out the ferry rules so he can exploit it. They filmed it. It's a deleted scene.
that would have been so much better than surfing.
It's if you go to extras on Disney Plus, it's one of the deleted scenes.
Okay,
I'm
now
gonna
I
go-
And they
gotta
show-
watch that.
I gotta
They
see that.
show a snippet of the ferry with the dress in the trailer, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I know what that part that is!" And then it wasn't in the movie, and I was like, "You
can't
filmed,
believe they
you
cut
filmed
it.
it. Where'd it go?"
Because that, to me, that entire scene strengthened his smartness, his ability for critical thinking on the spot.
But
Mhm.
in the deleted scene, they mentioned that he's doing this for gold and to save his father. So they had both motivations. And then when they did the whole edit, they took out the gold aspect. It's like,
Good God.
make up your mind.
Yeah, make up your mind. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going back to watch it again. I had to watch it twice. And
Yes, so did
that's
I.
because I fell asleep halfway through it.
Understandable.
I don't know if I fell asleep the first. I really couldn't remember it. Like I know I know I watched it because I even was like, oh, I just remembered that I'd watched it, and I was like, what's it about? Like
The fact
I
that
was
it
like-
took you
and
so long to be like, wait, I've seen this before, I think that's a sign. Me falling asleep during a movie, for most people, that is a sign. But honestly, I fell asleep during Dark Knight, okay? Like in the middle of places blowing up, I'm asleep. So that's just a me thing. Don't let that hit the movie. Doesn't mean it's good either, though.
And this is true. Those paying for the film can make their own rules. Like
Yeah.
if the writer hands it over and says, "Have at it," they sure can.
Yeah.
It's like,
Also, I felt like Haven City in the book was a lot more dirty and claustrophobic. Like,
yeah,
not this big, open, vast metropolis. Like
It almost gave, oh God, what is it called? Atlantis vibes.
Mhm.
But no, it gave a feeling of we're making do because we were forced underground instead of we're down here, we're thriving, we're fine, instead of giving them reason to want to return to the surface and get out there and take out the mudmen.
yeah.
Yep.
So for Eva, let's just do a recap of how we watched and what we watched and read. So I watched the movie when it first came out onto Disney Plus. I remembered watching it after I looked into it. I was like, oh yeah, that's what that was. And I was just kind of neutral on it. It was fine. I watched the whole thing. I just couldn't remember lots of it. Like I said, it was a neutral watch for me. Then when we decided to do this, I was like, oh, let me go read the books. So then I read the book and then watched the movie again. And yeah, as I was reading the book, I found myself saying, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. I don't remember any of this happening in the movie. So that's how I watched it. I watched the movie back 2 years ago when it first came on to Disney. Then just now I read the book and then watched the movie. And Laura?
Grew up on the book, saw the movie when it came out, was very sad. Reopened that trauma last night and watched it a second time.
And Ben?
Yeah, I did not read the books before. Sorry, when they first came out, I did the audiobook 2 weeks ago, and then I watched the movie a week ago.
And then Natalie?
I got through 50% of the book as of yesterday, and then realized I needed to watch the movie. Watched the movie, fell asleep halfway through, and then started it back to watch the last 40 minutes of it. And was texting the crew the same time, knowing their intentions as I watched the last half. Then, but it was a neutral for the book, and then a dislike neutral for the movie.
Yeah, I was a neutral for the movie before I read the book. After reading the book, I was a neutral for the book, and then after I read the book, I was a neutral dislike on the movie, just because some of the things that they changed really benefited the book. And then, like I said, there are things that I would have liked them to see in the movie. Now that I know that the material was there. It's like, why? Why were these choices made? That's for you. Which one is that, Lilo or Stitch?
Lilo. Stitch doesn't pop up in my lap.
Oh, there we go.
There's Stitch is down there. She's got some eye issues.
You know what's funny?
Hello.
When I read the book, I didn't picture Butler as a white dude. I pictured him as Bubbles from Lilo and Stitch. I was like...
Oh, that's so cute.
Because I was like, It's this big, buff, super strong, awesome dude who's like a secret agent level skill. I was like, it's Bubbles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I kept rereading. I read the next... I was like, wait. He's white. Oh.
Yeah. I like Bubbles. That was
Bubbles.
And that guy had depth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bubbles did. Bubbles was good. All right, so let's go into before we go into any more thoughts on the movie and the book and how they transferred the book to the movie, because we're gonna go into best and worst changes.
The movie was exposition dump after exposition dump, whereas the book sort of spreads it out and gives us context when we need it, and then moves on with with the story being told, as opposed to the movie, which is just
Do you think it was a problem with that? Maybe it should have been maybe a 4-part series or maybe just
a limited series would have been great.
Yeah, if we could have gotten some of the stuff that we missed, and they could have done that like Shadow and Bone is doing. Book 1 is season 1, I guess. Game of Thrones did that too. Book 1 is matching with season 1, so you have episodes to kind of explore the actual themes in the book.
I mean, honestly, if they had gone through and separated this out so they were only focusing on book 1 as opposed to later details with the dad, it would have completely changed the movie, but it would have given us more time to get some of that character development and fleshed out some of the issues.
Yeah,
giving us more chance for motivation too.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the mom, because the mom is dead in the movie, so I'm assuming that probably happens later on in the series. Laura, does that happen later on in the series, or maybe not? I don't know. I don't know why that's
still alive where I got to.
Okay, so I don't even know why they added that, but that would I feel like
Maybe
that,
they couldn't cast her and stuff, and they're like, all right, fine.
I think
Yeah.
she was still alive in book 6.
So never mind on my thought, because then it really still makes no sense. Okay.
And there's
Well,
a whole time warp thing, and it got weird. But yeah,
so the books do get weird at a point,
a little bit, yeah.
but book 1 and 2, you stand by those.
The first 3 are my favorite.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go best and worst changes. A best change.
Diversity.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
I do like the diversity.
I will
good.
say, I'll give them that. They did great with the diversity. I'm fine with that change. Gender swap, diversity of the cast, ethnicities, and stuff like that. Thought it was good.
The gender swap did take away from Holly being the first female officer and trying to. That's
Yes.
why they were hard on her.
That.
Yeah, but I kind of like then it's a push of where to go kind of thing. Like you know you can get there. Because I will say otherwise, like let's say from a kid's point of view / the production point of view, we always talk about kids wanting to see someone like them in a position of power, and we wouldn't have seen a female in a position of power and just as smart.
Yeah.
Opal was
without it.
Opal's mastermind, and she's a female.
But
Yeah.
she's just,
She's more criminal than Artemis in the movie, at least. But also, actually, the way they said Opal was like they didn't know male or female at the beginning. Like when she called and stuff, like in Artemis answered the phone, he's like, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So.
I still buy it. I mean, I feel like, that would have maybe been cool that she was the first, but she still had something to overcome. She still had to overcome the stigma from her father. So I was okay with that. If they'd explored it in a reasonable way, that still could have been a good, instead of just having her say, now I'm just going to go to the Fowls, explore that a little more. That would have been great.
Diversity, I think, is like the one thing they did.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought Butler and his sister looked kind of cool. So.
Well, no, and that was actually, they changed it to his niece because of the huge age difference between them and stuff.
God, the book is so in my head.
And which is fine because then it shows out the breadth of the Butler family.
But Juliet was awesome in the book. She had the jade ring at the end of her braid and would whip people with it with her roundhouse kick. Like, she was awesome.
Yeah. I wanted more from Juliet. Yeah, that would
not just I'm hanging from a balcony, save me.
And then she ended up pulling herself up anyway. Like,
why are you hanging there for 5 minutes?
Show us that she's tough. Show us that she's tough. Do it. Show us that. So yeah, we were supposed to be doing best changes. Oh, diversity. That was good. I did, and I think I said before, I like the idea of a giant dwarf.
It was just played for gags in every single scene, though.
Yeah,
I know, but if you hadn't,
and they probably did it to save on CGI. I'm sure that's the only reason.
It might have. Now that
which is funny because they did everyone else and everything.
Centaur looked good, but even anything that looked good, you can go back and say, but he needed to be more eccentric. He needed that tinfoil hat.
But I think that's the best. Like we gave them a little bit on the list. All right, let's not stretch ourselves here.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, worst
changes.
No mom.
Yeah, no mom. I think number one because that was very central.
Main thing that I noticed.
Take the dad out, make him MIA, and put the poor mother in bed.
Where she was at. Yeah. And let that, I mean, there's so many scenes where
that's why he was able to go and do all these criminal mastermind things, because he didn't have any parental oversight.
Exactly.
Because he says, I'm pretty sure. Oh my gosh.
There is a female childhood genius who comes in later in the series as well.
That's
that's
kind of
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Not that we'll ever see it on a silver screen. Well, we could later because every now and then they go through remakes and stuff. So
We'll see what happens to Percy Jackson.
Yes. I'm hopeful because the writer of Percy Jackson is involved and excited. So
Owen Colfer was involved in this movie.
You know-
Yeah, but sometimes they just take a dump truck of money in front of an author's house and say that, yeah, we got your
Let
approval.
us do this and smile and wave.
He did a video interview saying he approved, but yeah.
yeah,
Aw.
I wonder how much he was on set and stuff.
Yeah.
Or if it was like, and then sometimes there's script changes in the moment where like he might have approved a future or early script that included the fairy interaction, that included other stuff and the verbs or not verbs. Well, there is verbs, but include the dialogue. There we go of other sections. And then there's on the spot changes all the time.
I
So,
mean, I
it
thought
evolved.
about this too. If for the right amount of money, I'd be like, it's yours. But at some point where I'm going to say, I gave it to them to do what they want. If you want to know my version, read the book.
Not
That's all I'm
like
gonna
trying
say
to be
about it.
careful not to knock them.
Yeah.
And I think I would be so like political about it. Be like, well, according to Marshall McLuhan, the medium is the message, and so therefore the medium of television and the screen is going to be different than the medium of the book. Like, and then it's like, did you like it? The medium is the message. That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Like, this movie was stuck in production limbo for like 10 years.
Makes sense.
Wow. 10
Because
years.
Colfer was holding out for a long time, not selling the movie rights, because he didn't think that they would be able to have the fairies be convincing CG wise back then. So he held out and
Got some better CGI, but what story?
I just watched The Mummy, like Brendan Fraser, 1999.
I love that movie.
Holy
Still
hell,
holds up.
the CGI! I'm just like,
Scorpion King coming out.
that's even later. That was horrible
That was
at
two.
the time.
Yep.
But like watching the CGI now, I'm like, on
the
the first
movie holds up so well.
It
It's so
still
much
holds up.
fun.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Like the
babe,
face in the sandstorm. Like,
you're on the wrong side of the river. Like one of my favorite lines. So either way, sorry, we digress. But either way, there's a long list of worst changes, and I feel like it's a domino effect. Like it started with the mom, and then it went from there. Like once they removed the mom, it was so many changes.
they just
Yeah,
fundamentally
remove the
changed
mom.
who Artemis was.
Yeah, it changes Artemis. We now have way more stuff going on with the dad, who now has a major part in this particular movie when he wasn't in this book. In changing the mom, I feel like that changes Juliet as well, and then so now you have a weaker Juliet. Not weak in acting, just weak in the characterization. There's only so much that they gave her to do. Not much. She
She brings a
helps
salad.
Artemis one time, gives him some food or something, food or water,
Yep.
and then she's hanging from a balcony where she needs help, but then she can pull herself up, so she does. And it's just like, so it's like we don't ever get to see a strong Juliet. We don't get to just you don't buy Artemis, or at least I didn't buy Artemis, this character, as a criminal mastermind. And yeah, so then it just
He was a sad kid.
Yeah.
He didn't want to believe in fairies. He wanted to believe in his dad,
Yeah. Hmm.
who literally wrote for no reason in his journal, "It's time to believe."
Yeah, watched a horrible movie based on Mason.
Yep.
Yep, you watched it though. Fans Self with Hundreds. I mean, yeah. All right. Anything in particular about a worst change that you guys wanna bring up before we wrap it up? just the differences didn't help the movie. I don't you most of the time when a difference helps the movie or helps you get things done in a shorter amount of time, I'm like, okay, I understand why they made this change. I understand most of the changes. Bless you. Most of the changes here, I don't understand them. They don't make things better, and therefore, it's just like, why?
They just try to make Artemis more relatable and more.
And he doesn't need to be. Let him be the bad guy.
I can
I think
kind of.
we like the bad guys a lot of times. Kids will get on board and understand this is just a bad kid.
Yeah,
Well, I can kind of see why he needed a MacGuffin instead of just him winning by getting the blackmail money, because he needed something to go for. So they threw that in there, and then they threw the dad plot in there, and then it all just becomes a mess. But if they took that out, if they made it fundamentally a different movie, it could have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts? Because
there was something that I'm trying to remember what it was, where I felt like they were just compensating. I don't know. Oh well.
I feel like because I haven't read the later books, I do feel like some of the stuff that they were doing with the father was compensating for the missing mother.
That's what it was.
In the second book, Artemis finds out that his dad might not actually be alive. He's been having all the computers scanning and trolling through the internet trying to find info on his dad, and so it turns into a rescue mission in Russia.
That's where the combination is. Okay. And for me, I felt like this movie could have been better if they didn't like show their cards so much. Like, don't show who the narrator is, so that way it's more shocking when the guy pulls his ears back and is like, "Oh, yeah, it's him the whole time." Then, Spencer, answer the phone. Grandma's calling. God, it's ringing on my computer, and I hate that. It's great when it's like for me, but when it's not for me, it's him. Grandma's calling for him. She's not calling for me. Okay, back to the point. But don't tell us everything. There was the long spiel at the beginning, info dumping about Artemis and how great he is, and then you already know who the narrator is the whole time. That could have been done better. And let's keep us guessing of whether dad's alive or dead. Don't show him at the very end. Like, that would have been more entertaining, this what if. But I felt like,
or as an epilogue, you have the Thanos hand at the end and you show the dad's alive.
Yeah. Don't show us all the cards. All right. Like, you should be placing your full house down one at a time. Okay.
Yeah. Laura, any final thoughts?
I want to reread the series.
Yay.
It was so interactive as a book as a kid. The copy I have is my childhood copy, where it actually looks like the fairy book, and it has it written in Gnomish, and along the bottom of the pages is the book in Gnomish, and you can actually translate it yourself and read it, and it was really cool.
That is cool.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is a good idea. Dislike, because I don't ever want to say we hate this, even though once you hear our opinions, you'll know. But a double dislike equals a hate. Hated it. I mean, it should neutrally be hate to balance out love. I guess yeah. But I feel like, my thought was like, once you hit dislike, it's just like a no. But
regret.
I love that.
Right.
I want to go back in time.
We'll add that one. We'll add regret.
Like that will be below dislike of like, I want to go back in time and tell my past self, don't do this. But here's the thing, my past self would be like, I know you've read it and you're telling me not to, but now I gotta read why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, my past self would still say, but it's got elves and fey creatures, and I'd still be curious. So yeah, I'd probably, just because of what's in it, I'm like, I should like this. I'm gonna read it anyway.
When I see loathe, I think of two things. I think of Jim Carrey going loathe entirely. And then, but then I also think of Wicked, of loathing unadulterated. Right. Which one of my friends, he thought that was a song about two girls saying they loved each other, not loathed each other.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other final thoughts before we wrap this one? We'll talk about what's coming up.
Yeah, that's my thought now. It's just what's coming next. Let's get past this.
Yeah.
We've endured long enough. Let's get past.
Read the book.
Read the books. Yeah, read the books. Especially if you have a middle schooler. I think my brother enjoyed it, and I believe my older kid enjoyed it as well. I don't know how many they read. I don't know if they've got as far as Laura got, but Laura thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you've got a kid that age, they'll probably like it.
After the Atlantis complex, it got a little wonky, but
yeah, just a heads up, right? She's like, I'm only vouching for these ones. All right, so coming up, this date is tentative because I have to talk with my co-host to make sure, but Easter is the Sunday before, and then I have an event the Sunday after. So tentatively, April 16th, we'll be doing Bullet Train. Then we have in May, Crazy Rich Asians. And we've got some guests who are excited to come join us for that. And then June, so you can start now. Okay, the summer is popping. So you guys start your watches now. Shadow and Bone. We're on season 2, and I think it's 8 episodes per season. And the way that we do it, we read and watch as much as we get to, and we just let everybody know this is how far I got. So if you only get to season 1, that's fine. I'm not the taskmaster. Y'all, everybody, we're all we're all adults. We get as much done.
I
as
didn't
we can.
finish the book here, so we're fine.
Okay. So Shadow and Bone, it's 3 books. For the it's 3 books, and then Six of Crows is 2. I would say if you had to pick one, read Six of Crows. Six of Crows is excellent.
It was very good.
The duology, the duology. Shadow and Bone itself is more YA, just to give people a heads up, so you know going in. And so far, it's, from what I've seen, it's going pretty closely aligned with the addition of Six of Crows being in it at the same time. If that makes sense. And once you read, you'll get it. That, like, Six of Crows, the crows are not in the Shadow and Bone book, but they're in the same world. Yeah. Just so that you guys know. So it'll be a total of 5 books and 16 episodes, however much you can get through. And then the same thing with the summer of Game of Thrones, July and August. So it's a lot. Most of us have already seen it. I have not read the books. So for me, it's going to be getting through the 7 books. And then I'll be like, just like kind of more like recapping on some of the episodes that I'm like.
I'd recommend with Game of Thrones, if you've seen it all and read it all, look up what other people have said on the differences and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's one difference I know and I remember for sure on Game of Thrones, and that's what I plan to do, because otherwise I don't have time.
Yeah.
If I rewatch and do everything. But yeah, there's podcast episodes on that summarize by The Ringer. They did a entire episode by episode Game of Thrones thing, but each podcast episode is like an hour, so you might as well watch it too. But you do get comparisons to the book in that too, by the way. Not to promote other things.
And if you've already seen it, then basically you're just going to want to like do a refresh. So that's a good way that you can just listen and still be doing other things, and kind of getting that refresh on things. So I'm just going to be touching here and there when it comes to the episodes, because like I said, I've seen the whole season, but I haven't read it. So that's where my focus is going to be. And I'm like, I wanted to read them once the last book came out. That's not going to happen probably. So I might as well go ahead and get them read. So,
yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah. So
we make it a Robert Jordan situation here, though, or Robert Jordan, Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, maybe they'll get someone else to finish and write that last book. So, fingers crossed, because I don't like to be left hanging. That's oh my God.
Is that the last book though? Because I thought there was supposed to be a 7th book after it.
I don't know. You tell me, Ben. Am I now on the hook for 2 more books that I'm going to be like crying about?
I mean, it was originally supposed to be 5-book series, and then they
5
just kept
books.
expanding it. So I thought the numbers came out to 7. I don't know.
Oh, man. It's going to be painful. But yeah, so 4 books. Right? 4 books? 4 seasons. Or
Yeah.
5 seasons. 4 books, 5 seasons. We're going to do, what did we?
We said seasons 1 through 4 in July, and then seasons 5 through 8 for August.
Okay. So so the first 2 books are the first 4 seasons, is that right?
I think we said we would look that up and figure it out.
Yeah. Because I haven't read the books, I'm like, I don't know. But we're gonna split them. We're gonna split them up 4 and 4 as far as the episodes. So wherever that lines up with the books, that is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whew. It's gonna be a lot. But I like to read, so I'm down for this.
Okay. Seasons 1 through 4 is Game of Thrones, Clash of Kings, and Storm of Swords. And then it looks like season 5 begins with Feast of Crows and Dance of Dragons, and then new material on. So it looks like the first 4 seasons are the first 3 books.
3 books. Okay. So everybody knows.
Perfect.
6 and 7 will never be. Thanks, Mama Maggie. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Never. Oh, sadness. Okay. But I'm going to be in the same boat as everybody else now.
He's rolling around in his money.
Yeah, really. This makes me very nervous. For every series that I have started, I'm like, I really need to be finished with them before I ever publish them, because I'll be that person. I'm shiny new idea all the way. So yeah. He is busy now. Rolling in his money. All right.
Cue the meme of like wiping your tears with wads of cash.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us while we talk about the sadness over what happened to Artemis Fowl. But again,
My boy.
yeah.
I mean, we discussed Twilight. We might as well discuss this one. So
yeah, this is true. All right, let's go ahead and do our outros really quick. Just let everybody, and everybody's linked below so you can follow everybody. But we'll swing it around, let everybody know where you'll be at next so that they can be aware of what you got coming up. Laura?
I'm Laura Nettles, and tomorrow is my cover reveal and release date announcement for my horror collection called Tiny Shivers, 7 p.m. Eastern. Great. And yeah, I just mooch off of other people and join them on their streams.
Yes. And then
Let's see. Yeah, every Monday night I come out with new episodes on Running to Write about questionable writing advice through writing metaphors. Last weekend I just had my 100th episode, which was a lot of fun. It's a long one. I played video games, I played Chrono Trigger, and we had a panel of people coming on to talk about how video games inspire our writing. So if you have 3 hours to just watch me play Chrono Trigger, check it out. If not, again, I do much shorter videos. They're usually less than 10 minutes. So
excellent.
I'm Natalie Locke, a mom, full-time employee, and a writer who decided my sleep needed to be impeded more. But I do a lot of different things. You can find me on natalielockeBooks.com, where you'll link to my social media, see some of my writing, see some of my monthly newsletters, which the past ones are posted up there, where I kind of just talk about different things, inspirations, and to use Ben's line, is questionable writing advice. But yeah, where to find me next though? I don't know. I think I'm like the week of March 27th or something. I might do like just a huge catch-up stream because I'm a little bit behind on editing my flashes. since I wanted to edit 104 flashes in a year, so 2 a week.
Awesome. And I'm Nia, the Vixen of Fiction. You're here on my channel. Where I will be next is doing some practice streams on Twitch, just because I have been on Twitch hiatus for a while. So I just need to go through and make sure all my things work and just say hi to people who I haven't got a chance to say hi to in a while. So you can follow me on Twitch and play around with us while I play with all my buttons and have some fun. And then after that, I will be doing the Storyteller's Hearth Relay. You'll see some of us on there. I think I know Laura has a stream. Do you have one, Natalie? Are you?
No, I am actually traveling that weekend, but I am a monitor, so I will have my cell phone and typing in chat and going, "You got 20 minutes left."
Awesome. She's going to be keeping an eye on us to make sure we don't go over.
I am also going to be on a panel for story crafting sessions by weeknight writers. So it's a panel. My panel is at, I believe, 1:30 Eastern this Saturday. We were talking about the false dichotomy of pantsing versus outlining.
Nice. I like it. All right. So that's where we'll be. Everyone's linked below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us while we talk about Artemis Fowl. And like I said, we'll be back in April talking about Bullet Train, which I didn't know was a book until Natalie brought it up. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So it's going to be another one where I watch the movie first, because my husband's like, let's watch Bullet Train. And I was like, okay. So we watched it. Hopefully we'll have a better outcome, but we'll see. Tune in April to find out. All right, guys, let's say goodbye. Thank you for hanging out with us. Bye.
Bye.